This is just a little unscripted video about some thoughts I have on popular culture and mass media and their effects on individuals and on society as a whole. So, popular culture, I think, really kind of has its origins with the advent of mass media and globalization. So, it's really a more recent thing because culture used to be more localized, and therefore individuals and smaller groups had a greater degree of control over the expression of human culture, so basically human thought. But since mass media in various forms has proliferated, um, it's become increasingly concentrated in larger, more influential groups. And today you see this in the form of different franchises that are popular among media, that can take over entire aspects of cultural expression. And from these, like fantasy and Lord of the Rings, or and science fiction like Star Wars and Star Trek and whatnot. Um, these sorts of things, what happens is entire areas of human thought come to be dominated by these, and people become obsessed with the minute details of each of these franchises and go no further than that. They no longer are able to express any any thoughts for themselves. They're just saying what has already been made. So while I for one enjoy some of the different franchises involved in popular culture proliferated by these forms of mass media, and I recognize that perhaps it's a natural inclination on our part. I just think that we should try and make sure that individuals retain some control over cultural influence, because it continues to contribute to people having less control over their own lives. People become obsessed with not just these popular films and book franchises and whatnot, but you become obsessed with entertainment through sports and stuff. These professional sports, and people don't do sports themselves anymore. And so this is all part of the giant section of leisure and entertainment that takes up a lot of life in our especially more developed countries, but increasingly in countries that are developing as well, because of globalization's influence reaching to them. So we should keep that in mind moving forward. And I know it's funny because this is going to be on YouTube, which is itself a medium for mass media and mass culture expression, even though it also provides ample opportunity for just random individuals such as myself to make videos like these, although far fewer, if any, people ever get to view them. So larger groups end up co-opting mass culture. That's what I was saying. Whether it be larger entertainment groups that I've mentioned in other videos like Disney or whatever, or the different sports leagues, and more influential already existing social groups, such as, organized religion tends to co-opt it. After all, the most printed book in the world is the Bible, and that was with the invention of the printing press centuries ago, and increasingly also organized religion is effective at making its presence known online, to the extent that it even overshadows other, secular or liberal-leaning influences, which, for whatever reason, don't always use online media effectively, or other media effectively, for that matter. So, at an individual level and at the level of smaller groups, people need to make sure to retain some degree of control over cultural expression, or continue to lose it to larger, more influential groups. And this is part of perhaps a cultural globalization, because there's political, social, and economic globalization, and of course the uh, most common form of globalization right now is economic, because there's still a couple hundred countries that are recognized by international platforms as having sovereignty, including the one I live in. And while this is a necessary step, political and social globalization are making far less headway. So it'll be interesting to see how events play out over not just this century, but the ones beyond, to see how future human society develops. Does it become more centralized in the end, but also allow for individual influence, or does it continue in somewhat akin to as it is now, which is a messy, haphazard thing, and it's not really the best system. It doesn't work for everybody. If it worked for everybody, there wouldn't be disparities. Of course, part of human nature is, it seems, to not be able to be content with what you have. If everyone was content with what they had, there wouldn't be any problems in the world. But alas, such is not the case. It would be a better world if people could learn to be content with what they had, even as you rightfully try and strive for more. Just don't take it out on everybody else if it doesn't always go that way, you know? That would be nice. So, that's just some thoughts I had.